Welcome to the show. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Nice.
What's going on?
I didn't think come in there for a second there. I thought we were just going to...
Well, I forgot I had this logo still up, and so when the video ended, it just went there.
Yeah.
But yeah, hey, welcome to You Dab Me a Hello, episode 14. We are now like a full-fledged show. We are, we're episode 14. That's longer than some TV shows have made it.
Like a full season.
It is. We're going to be CSI this season, though. We got 22 episodes coming your way before we call it a season, probably. But we'll see. But hey, Mike is back.
I am.
He doesn't get an intro this time because he's been on the show 9 times. So,
well, thank you for everyone who messaged RJ and Andy and voted me. Oh, I'm sorry. No one asked me to come back? Okay. Oh, I'm here anyway, so.
You're an unofficial host.
Oh, man. Well, hey, we're live for our, I don't know, fourth time probably. It's been something like that. But today we are coming at you with the greatest tag teams.
You didn't say our tagline today.
Welcome to you.
See what happens when I'm here. Everything just falls apart.
Yeah.
You dabbed me a hello. You didn't ask for it, but we're here anyway, and so is Mike. So three dads. One
didn't ask for me either.
No.
Well, hey, if you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to write some comments and join in on the conversation. If you are on RJ Gunn, which is me, on my Facebook, I will not see those comments, so I apologize. But you dab me a hello, and YouTube, you dab me a hello. Feel free to write some comments, and we'll try to get you in on the show. We're going to be talking about wrestling's greatest tag teams across all of the U.S. from 2000s to today. And that includes any team that wrestled in the 2000s, even if they were a team in the 90s as well. We've got a really cool list. We're going to show you kind of a sneak peek of this list here. It's a lot. We're going to go from 32 to 16 rather quickly. So please try to follow along with us. Well, are you guys excited for today?
I'm excited every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a crazy day, so I think we need to have a little bit of entertainment here. So if anybody's joining us live, I hope we can provide that for you. Thanks for joining in. But this is going to be an interesting topic because we're covering 20 years of wrestling, and we're really looking at, U.S.-based promotions. I think a lot of the tag teams that we have on this list have international experience as well, and I think we'll kind of dive into that for their accomplishments, but we're really trying to make it more of WWE, Impact, AEW kind of thing. We kept some of the smaller indies off, like Ring of Honor and things like that, but some of these teams showed up in those promotions as well. So
yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be good. As Andy mentioned, today is January 6th?
6th.
Washington, D.C. just went to crap. And so we thought, hey, let's talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
So here we are.
There's a Royal Rumble at the White House.
But anyways,
which
thanks for
everybody
joining
lost.
us. All right. So first up on the list, we have Edge and Christian versus Beer Money.
Edge and Christian.
Yeah, same.
All right, Awesome. I'm not prepared to change this so quickly.
That was almost too quick. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Next up, we have The Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus versus Mustache Mountain.
Ooh.
I didn't know who to pick, so you guys go first.
I mean, I'm going to go with The Bar, even though I feel like if Mustache Mountain was put on a bigger platform, we'd have maybe a different story.
I was feeling the same, actually.
And I don't have a mustache. So I can't do this.
I would say the same. The Bar probably has a little bit more going for them over the last 10 years or so. I think it was Mustache Mountain has only been since 2016 or so. And
in NXT.
Yeah. Next up, Morrison and Miz versus Eminem.
I went with Eminem.
I am going to as well.
Yeah.
All right.
RJ just doesn't get to vote at all today.
No. Nope.
I would go with Morrison and Miz only because I actually have only seen highlights of Eminem back in the day. They were in that period. I didn't watch wrestling. I do love both of them.
We had Morrison versus Morrison in the first round.
Yeah, we did.
You what?
We had Morrison versus Morrison in the first round.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Well,
hey, I vote for the better Morrison.
Well, he was Johnny Nitro and Eminem.
That's true. All right, next up, we have. This is all random. I did not mean to put them together, but it happened. Next up, Benjamin and Haas, the greatest tag team versus Motor City Machine Guns.
I'm going with Benjamin and Haas.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go with Benjamin and Haas as well. I think Benjamin still has it today, so I'm with that.
All right. Well, I didn't. I went with Motor City Machine Guns. I just like their matches. They're high energy. They're fun to watch.
That's true.
Yeah.
Next up, Rowan and Harper versus the Brothers of Destruction. This is a tough one.
It's a battle of the big men here.
Yeah, I went Brothers of Destruction. Just, I don't know. The Undertaker's awesome.
If we're looking singles, I would go with Brothers of Destruction. But as a tag team who had more success, I'm going with Harper and Rowan.
Yeah, my gut says to go with the Brothers of Destruction, but Rowan and Harper probably more entertaining as a tag team, like you said. So I'm going to go with them too.
I'm surprised you didn't go with your gut. It's pretty big nowadays. So.
Wow. Yeah. I hate you.
Hey, I'm right there with you, buddy.
Next up, the Young Bucks versus LAX, Hernandez, and Homicide.
Ooh.
Young Bucks for me.
Yeah.
This was a tough one, though. This was a tough pick for me, but Young Bucks.
Yeah. Huge fan of LAX, especially Homicide was really cool. But I'm going with the Young Bucks.
All right. So the Young Bucks moves on because I would choose them as well. I actually have not seen a lot of LAX. So next up, Gallows and Anderson versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. You already have my answer. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish for life.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like Gallows and Anderson got the short end of the stick here in the first round. Because huge in Japan, but I think coming over to WWE, bad move. I don't know. I'm sure they got their paychecks and were happy with it, but WWE did not know what to do with them. So I think that kind of hurt them here, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Looks like we got a shout out.
Fantastic.
Sarah says, "Hi guys, shout out to the Bella Twins as the greatest women's tag team."
Well, hello, Sarah. We're gonna have to disagree.
Well, speaking of the Bella Twins, it's the Usos versus Booker T and Goldust. Is there 2 D's in Goldust? That looks weird to me now.
I think there's only one.
There's one D. Oh, yeah, one D.
Goldust.
Goldust. Man, Booker T and Goldust was so entertaining, but
yeah.
I'm going with the Usos.
I'm going with Booker T and Goldust.
Oh,
okay. All right.
For reasons we will discuss, maybe.
You won't. The Usos.
Oh, damn.
The Usos.
That hurt. How does Goldust do that?
The Usos for me as well. They put on some of the best matches of the last 3 years, so good stuff.
Yeah, but they never did. They never did at the movies with the Usos.
They
Just
should.
saying.
Awesome. Boo.
Yeah.
Now, does this say bo or boo? If no one has any idea what we're talking about, there's a comment here from Sarah that just says boo.
All right. Well, moving on. We have the War Raiders versus the APA.
I didn't think I was going to kick them out in the first round, but I'm going with the War Raiders or whatever name that they go by now.
The War Raider Viking guys.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the APA. The APA were very entertaining. They did a lot of backstage stuff, bar fights, super fun stuff. They even brought them back for reunions in the 2010s, and I loved it. So APA.
APA's moving on. That's my choice as well.
I forgot about those bar fights. Those are great.
I mean, I respect Hansen and his cartwheel skills.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, but that's all I see in them.
Now, if you're following along with us and you're wondering why in the world we're going so fast, we have 32 teams and we're trying to get through at least the top 16 so we can then spend a little bit more time on why we're voting this way. But as we do that, we have Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Team Hell No. I'm going to go just because two of my favorite women's wrestlers of all time, Sasha Banks and Bayley. Team Hell No was funny. I saw a lot of highlights of them. That was during a time period I didn't watch wrestling. Love Daniel Bryan, love Kane, but Sasha Banks and Bayley for me.
I'm going to say the same. Team Hell No, even though Booker T and Goldust were a gimmick, that was the gimmick. I feel like with Team Hell No, they needed other gimmicks to kind of play off of them. I don't know. I just didn't see it being a thing.
I loved Team Hell No. I thought it was funny, the whole hugging, hug it out.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was,
what about the reenactment of the movie scene in the dining room, the diner, where he's like Daniel Bryan's like banging on the table, like yes. No, all right.
You didn't want to pick Team Hell No. Why?
Yeah,
it was funny stuff. It was funny.
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't remember that, but I would agree with you, Sasha Banks and Bayley as well. And everybody can see that we have included both men's and women's tag teams in this, so it is an all-inclusive list.
We did include the men's and women's. All right, next up we have DIY versus the Lucha Brothers.
This was a tough pick for me, but I went with Lucha Brothers just based on entertainment factor.
All right. I'm going with DIY. Johnny Gargano is one of my favorite NXT wrestlers, and I really liked them. And I also liked their feud as well. So,
both of these teams are kind of similar in the fact that they have teamed, but also can compete singles and feud against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rey Fenix is the better of the wrestlers out of Pentagon, but Pentagon's more entertaining as a just straight up entertainer. But I'm favoring DIY here. I think their tag team matches were a little bit more well executed than Lucha Brothers.
All right, DIY is moving on. I do like the Lucha Brothers a lot, and they are they were one of the major tag teams I was looking forward to seeing in AEW. But next up, Rated RKO versus the New Day.
New Day?
Yeah, New Day.
Yeah, New Day for sure. New Day being the inspiration, at least for me, for doing a podcast about tournaments. That's kind of where I got the idea from the New Day's podcast. Also,
Thanks,
why I
New Day.
yell a lot in the beginning of "Welcome."
We got to send them residual checks of $0.
That's true. Well, if they ever ask, I'll deny the story.
You can edit it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Santana and Ortiz versus American Alpha.
I went with Santana and Ortiz.
I'm going to agree with you as well.
Oop.
Ooh.
Oh. Wow. Okay. I like Santana and Ortiz. I did not know them until AEW. And being a part of the inner circle, they are hilarious and they're great wrestlers too. I would have gone with American Alpha just because their matches in NXT were amazing, but I like Santana and Ortiz a lot. So
I could have gone either way, but
yeah,
Santana Ortiz just slightly above.
Yeah, I was thinking more of like longevity, and Santana Ortiz have multiple promotions that they've been highly successful in.
That's true. All right, next up we have Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus the Hardy Boys.
This is a tough pick.
I'm going with the Hardy Men.
Yeah, Triple H and Shawn Michaels are my favorite wrestlers. Shawn Michaels being my favorite wrestler of all time. DX being one of my favorite groups of all time. Did DX win our faction as well?
People haven't seen it yet.
That was 7 episodes ago.
I don't care. We're still attracting viewers.
They might have won it. You should go and check it out and see if they did. But
They did.
Hardy Boys, man. TLC matches, ladder matches.
Yeah.
Hardy Boys for me. What about you,
Say
Andy?
Party Boys or Hardy Boys?
Potty Boys. The Potty Boys.
Google that.
And for you? Did you say the Hardy Boys too?
Who? Me?
Yeah.
Tito Santana and the Red Rooster. Yes, we're up. That'd be awesome. Yes,
All
I
right.
think we're all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Los Guerreros versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Mm. Unfortunately, I didn't really see Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I know, because I kind of gave up on WWE about 2 years ago.
You're a quitter.
They force your hand sometimes. I'm going with Los Guerreros. They had some really good matches back in the early 2000s.
Well, I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Alexa Bliss is one of my favorite women's wrestlers as well. Nikki Cross was great in NXT, and then she had a funny side with Alexa Bliss. So that's my pick. But I have a feeling they're not going forward.
No, I gotta go. Gotta go with Eddie and Chavo, Los Guerreros.
All right.
I cheat and steal.
All right, and the last one, and then we are in the top 16.
Oh man, that was fast.
It was quick. We're doing this quick.
Fast.
We have the Dudley Boys versus the Revival.
Man,
I don't know why, but they have very similar things in my mind. Like Dudley Boys, Revival. I feel like they're very similar. I like both a lot. I'm gonna go with the Dudleys just because of overall time. Dudley Boys have done so much. The Revival has too, but I feel like they are squandered a little bit in AEW, if that's a word.
there's a lot of tag teams there.
I mean, there are, but not as good as the Revival. The Revival's amazing. But Dudley Boys were involved in the TLC matches as well. Their gimmick is hilarious. The Revival, they're okay, but their talking ability is not amazing. At least not as much as the Dudley Boys. So going with the Dudleys.
Yeah, I'm going to say the Dudleys also. I'm not super familiar with the Revival, but from what I did see, just you can't go up against the Dudleys. I mean, at this point, they're so legendary.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the Revival get the short end of the stick here in the first round again. Dudley Boys really revolutionized tag team wrestling. So I'm going with the Dudleys.
All right. Well, Dudley Boys have made it into the top 16. We are officially in the top 16 now. So again,
now we can talk.
Yes. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, everywhere that you can get your podcasts, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
I hate how you started to capitalize words and then you didn't.
I know. Yeah, you're right.
Make sure to follow us capitalize.
Chime in with your questions here. Also, if you haven't noticed, we also have it went away. We have music on YouTube and Spotify. I'll just put up the other one. We are on YouTube and Spotify. We try to release music weekly. We just had a new song, Forgotten Memories, come out last week, which was probably 3 weeks ago your time. But we'd appreciate if you check that out as well. I'm excited. We're in the top 16 greatest tag teams 2000 to present.
Let's do it.
All right. Let me get rid of this. Chime in with your questions. All right. Moving on. Edge and Christian versus The Bar.
I'm going with Edge and Christian. I think The Bar did really well for a shorter run. They were thrown together, literally just like, here you go, you're a team now. And they ran with it, and they did a really great job and put on some really good matches. And Sheamus and Cesaro are two talented single competitors. So, but Edge and Christian, classic after classic after classic. So,
yeah. Here's my issue with The Bar. Sheamus is one of my most hated wrestling wrestlers ever.
Personalities.
And Sheamus is one of my favorites. So I really liked them as a tag team. They were kind of funny, but Sheamus just really doesn't do it for me. Edge and Christian, they were involved in the first 3 TLC matches, the 2012 greatest tag team of all time, according to the WWE. And they won match of the year for that WrestleMania X7 match, for that TLC match, which I think is the one where he speared Hardy off of the ring, hanging. So
the what? The ring hanging?
Yeah, he was hanging onto the ring.
He was hanging.
Yeah.
He was doing the Olympic rings.
That might have been the one that Lita got involved in too, but great matches. So Edge and Christian for me.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Fantastic.
Cool.
I'm not going to repeat it. Why am I going to repeat it?
All right. Next up, we have Eminem versus Benjamin and Haas.
Man, this is a match I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with
yeah.
Eminem.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Benjamin and Haas, they're good wrestlers. They put on good matches, but it's to me it's pretty vanilla. Unless I'm watching the wrong matches, but you watch Eminem, they're high flyers. They're taking a little bit more chances, a lot more out of ring action from those guys. And I feel like they have better chemistry as well in the ring. I don't know outside of the ring too much, about their history, but I just like watching them more.
Okay.
So Eminem.
Andy, how about you?
Yeah, I liked both tag teams a lot. Eminem, I felt from an entertainment standpoint, maybe stood out a little bit more, especially with Melina in the mix as their manager. The flashy, kind of over the top stuff, and Matthews and Morrison mixed very, very well together. But Haas and Benjamin were in some really spectacular tag team matches at that time against like Los Guerreros and mixing in with Rey Mysterio and had Kurt Angle by their side. And their style at that time with the suplexes and their collegiate background, I always thought they mixed that in very well. And that always drew my attention to them. So I'm going with Haas and Benjamin.
Okay. I'm going to go with Eminem. I can't produce and talk at the same time. Eminem, if only for Joey Mercury's face being busted open by the ladder.
That was like the biggest mess ever.
Yeah, I've probably seen that highlight as many times as I watch fail videos. So Eminem for me too.
Right.
Next up, we have Rowan and Harper versus the Young Bucks.
Ooh. Shoot.
Unpopular opinion. I'm just going to go with it. The Young Bucks are overrated. I think Rowan and Harper have a way better gimmick than the Young Bucks do. The Young Bucks put on a great match, but I hate to agree with Jim Ross for once. I feel like their spots are their spots, and they've been their spots for the last 8 years. The Young Bucks, you've seen them once, you've seen them every time. Rowan and Harper have some really good stuff, except for the Bludgeon Brothers. Don't talk about the Bludgeon Brothers or the Sledgehammers or anything. But Rowan and Harper, the Wyatt family stuff, amazing. So I'm sadly going to go with Rowan and Harper on this one.
I was going to pick the Young Bucks almost for the same reason that I pick Eminem. Just high flyers, fun to watch. I don't know. I just like watching them.
Yeah. Man, this is a tough one for me because, what are you gonna say?
I don't dislike Rowan and Harper. Again, I'll back everything that RJ said. With everything they've done in the WWE and the gimmicks that they had were definitely entertaining. But when it came to the in-ring stuff, it didn't quite grab me like the Young Bucks did.
Andy, it's on you.
I'm really torn here because Harper and Rowan, as the Wyatt family, they had a lot of great like 6-man tags too with Bray in there, versus like the Shield, and Daniel Bryan was in there. The Usos, they had like anytime they were on the screen, like they had a really great match. The Bludgeon Brothers, a horrible gimmick, but they did what they could with it, and they still came out looking like vicious beasts. I agree but disagree with the comments on the Young Bucks. Like, yeah, they do some of the same spots, but their matches are very entertaining, and they throw them in differently. And they always come up with something a little bit more creative or a little bit twist on how they do the moves, or they might update a new move or something like that. And going into AEW, like everybody kind of thought, all right, they're going to be the instant first tag team champions, right? Because they're a part of this major promotion that they kind of helped start. But that didn't turn out that way. They kind of had that slow build, plagued by some injuries lately as well. And the Young Bucks also have this other experience too. They have the New Japan stuff that they were doing, and we're probably more, I guess, bigger in the independent scene as well. With Ring of Honor and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and they had that longevity too. So this is tough. I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks on it.
All right. So the Young Bucks have moved on. The next one is Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Oh man, this one hurts. Versus the Usos. And you're still on you. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is an easy one for me. I've got to go with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Their style is old school, but they've modernized it, and I find that a little bit more entertaining. The issue that I have with the Usos is from what I can remember, all of their big moments came from someone else being involved. So there was, they had a big pop when they, had Rikishi, obviously they had family ties, and then you have The Rock, helping them out, dropping the people's elbow, all that stuff. I feel like a lot of their big moments came from someone bigger than them being there, where, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish everything's in the ring. Their reputation is from what they've done in the ring rather than someone else kind of, bringing them along.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the Usos have put on a lot of very, very good matches. Usos and the New Day in particular. So it's a tough one, but Undisputed Era, that's one of my favorite teams of all time. The Usos are better talkers.
For sure. Absolutely.
Maybe even better rappers.
Certainly.
You haven't heard Kyle O'Reilly spit bars.
But even with that, if I'm going to look at a card and see Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, I'm going to watch that before I watch the Usos. So Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish for me.
Yeah, I think you kind of got me with that last statement too. I really like the Usos. I liked them when they first came out, when they had like that stupid gimmick with the half face paint. Like, I don't want to say it was stupid, but they were pigeonholed into, oh, this is your backgrounds, this is what you got to do. No, let them be who they are. And once they found that, man, they took off. So like I mentioned before, like they had those great 6-man tags. Now they've had those great matches against the New Day as well. And now as singles competitors, what they're doing right now. But I got to give it to Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Everywhere that they've been as a tag team have been, at their highest that they could be. They're up there as one of the best tag teams in whatever promotion that they're in.
Yeah, I agree. All right, moving on. We have the APA versus Sasha Banks and Bayley.
I want to see this tag match in real life.
I hope it would be a tornado tag. That would be even better.
Sasha Banks and Bayley, for me, they're two of the better wrestlers on the roster currently. APA is great. Don't get me wrong with that, but Bayley and Sasha Banks, ever since NXT, following them, they've kind of mimicked a lot of the stuff they did in NXT on WWE, but that's okay. Both Sasha and Bayley have improved a ton since they first came out with their speaking. They were terrible speakers when they first started. I thought they were unbelievable. And then now I think they are definitely more believable. So it's hard to say this out loud, but Sasha Banks and Bayley over the APA.
What was that? What was that?
Going, damn. I was trying to cue it up like exactly when you picked Sasha Banks and Bayley when it would play.
I thought there was a football game happening in your office.
And Andy looked just as confused as we did.
I was trying to play it off. I was selling it, brother. Damn, indeed. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Sasha Banks and Bayley.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know who to pick on this one. honestly. I mean, Sasha Banks and Bailey have done so much for the brand. APA was, I don't know, they were fun to watch, but a lot of it was their backstage antics. A lot of it wasn't in the ring.
That's true.
So yeah,
They were just there to beat the crap out of people.
Yeah,
that's what they did.
I just found it funny that they needed to protect fully grown men that beat the crap out of each other all the time. Like, who even thought of that? Whose idea was that?
Vince McMahon, more likely.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, quick side note, we'll take a quick break here to tell you that today I walked into my house, or I was walking up to my house, and there were 80 bottles of water and 4 grocery bags at my door, and I don't know why. So, if you know, please chime in the comments as to why I have 80 bottles of water and 4 bags.
You probably got someone's like.
I was thinking that. I did post it on the Warwick page on Facebook, but I haven't gotten an answer yet. But I do have 135 pieces of candy. So if someone doesn't answer quick.
Oh, well, if this is a good PSA, can I also say to whoever JN is that decided to put my phone number in for a car brokerage to try to fly his car from one state to another. Wow. And therefore I've had multiple brokerage companies calling me and texting me, giving me quotes. I hope that your zipper falls off of your hoodie and that your shoelaces are too short, and that you bite your lip constantly in the same place over the course of a week.
All right. Well, hey, if you have any of those answers, please find us on YouTube and Spotify. VRAP and RJ Gunn. Let us know any of the answers to those questions. We'd appreciate it.
Those were the nicest, most polite insults I've ever heard, Andy.
Well, those are things that would just, they're not like, I'm not saying any pain thing, but they're going to annoy the living crap out of you. And that's what this person has done to me. So,
yeah.
Hey, Mike, do you know why we bundled those stories together?
No,
because
I don't.
It's actually as easy as bundling your car insurance with your We don't have any ads yet.
No sponsors yet. Yeah.
But that's how it'll be. So if you want an ad, that's how easy it can be. For just $1 per 30 seconds. We're not worth much yet. All right, moving on.
Suddenly the podcast is 4.5 hours.
We finished too early, so we just talked for 30 minutes in the middle. Guys, this is a hard one. DIY versus the New Day.
New Day for me.
Well, that wasn't too hard, I guess.
No, it wasn't hard for me. I like DIY as individuals, but as a tag team, I'm gonna have to go with the New Day.
Man.
They have a trombone.
Yeah. I mean, DIY had classic tag team matches in NXT.
They did.
But New Day's got that longevity and entertaining. They took a gimmick that was probably going nowhere, and they turned it around and got everybody behind the gimmick, behind them, to one of the most popular tag teams of all time, if not one of the most popular acts in wrestling of all time. Giving it to New Day.
I mean, not to mention that even non-wrestling fans know who the New Day is. I mean, the New Day, they've got cereal in the.
I haven't had any Booty-O's yet.
They're too expensive. It's like $15. It's in that FYE entertainment store, so everything's super.
Booty costs a lot of money.
Expensive, but they've been around since 2014. They took 3 wrestlers who were essentially doing nothing at the time, but they're good friends, and so I think that's what helps make it. They hold the longest tag team championship reign in WWE history at 483 days, and the most reigns as the SmackDown Tag Champions at 7. They're overall 10-time tag team champions. So the New Day for me, I mean, they took that gospel gimmick and turned it into an amazing, long-lasting gimmick.
I will say I was super pumped for the gospel gimmick. I thought it was intriguing, like the the initial promo, the vignettes that they were doing at the beginning, I was like, because I liked all three, and I was like, oh, they're gonna put them together. This is kind of because they were kind of teasing it a little bit. I remember like a Rumble where they all were kind of wearing matching gear, but it wasn't a tag team yet. I was like, I kind of like this. What's going on here?
It looks like the New Day moves on. We'll talk more about them as we go along. Next up, we have Santana and Ortiz versus the Hardy Boys. Hardy Boys,
absolutely.
Yeah. Not really a big decision here.
No knock against Santana and Ortiz. Just you're up against the Hardy Boys here.
Yeah,
I think they probably picked them too.
Yeah. By the way, this is the Hardy Boys and not the Hardy Bros. Just don't get that confused. But no, Santana and Ortiz are great, and they're wrestling Matt Hardy on a regular basis in AEW. Matt Hardy's still going strong. So Hardy Boys for sure for me. Minus Matt Hardy's knees. I'm not a fan of Matt Hardy's knees.
I don't think he's a fan of his knees anymore either. I mean, you take how many higher risks, like he should be grateful that he's walking at this point, at all. Like
that's true. And then you throw him in AEW and just throw him off a ladder onto concrete.
I fall off my bed and I'd be out for like.
I fell downstairs the other day just walking, and I think I almost called out of work the next day.
I thought you were gonna say on purpose. I just fell downstairs.
He's testing his mettle.
Just said today's the day.
The Hardy Boys, I think I first saw them or first thought they were awesome in the Terry Invitational Tournament in 1999. It was Terry Runnels Tournament, TIT, Terry Invitational Tournament. Yeah. And the Hardy Boys were against Edge and Christian. That was the first tag ladder match that I can remember WWE holding. And from there, they did all those TLC matches. So it was really, really good. But they won Terry Runnels to be their manager for a very short time.
Isn't that like typical Vince? You win a woman to be your manager. Like an auction.
Those were different days.
He's laughing. This is going to be a good crap pound. See, I was about to say the other word and caught myself.
Next up, we have Los Guerreros versus the Dudleys.
The Dudley Boys. They power bombed Mae Young through a table.
That is true.
Eddie Guerrero's lowrider was pretty fantastic.
That was.
I am going to have to go with the Dudleys as well.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. That's all I have to say.
Good talk.
Great. All right.
Sorry, I am making my way to the other side of the bracket. All right. So we are now, I think, in the top 8 already.
Whoa,
gosh.
Smooth sailing here.
We have Edge and Christian versus Eminem.
Edge and Christian. Just for the fact that they were in the Brood.
Oh man, I forgot about the Brood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you forget about the Brood?
I
didn't even watch wrestling at that time. And I knew who the Brood was. I was like,
Gangrel's a brand.
Yeah. He's not a person. He's a brand.
The 5
Who's still going strong on the indies, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, still awesome.
The 5 second pose with Edge and Christian.
Oh.
I met Edge and Christian in 1999. So that was really cool. But yeah, no, Edge and Christian, there wouldn't be a Hardy Boys as popular without Edge and Christian. There wouldn't be an Edge and Christian as much without the Hardy Boys. So, and both Edge and Christian are still going strong far into the 2000s. Christian, when did he retire? I think it was early 2010s, maybe a little later. Edge is back, kind of. He came back and then injured himself again. But he came back pretty strong against Randy Orton. So I'm going to go with Edge and Christian as well.
Yeah. Same.
I forgot about the 5 second pose. That was fantastic. Every time they did that, those whole backstage, like, you get the backstage stuff that you look at from the Attitude Era, where now you can look at it and you're like, that was dumb. Like, how did I like that? And you look back at some of those, and you're like, that was dumb, but I still like that. That was entertaining. Like, it was just, they made fun of themselves. Christian in the chicken suit.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. All that stuff was good.
Well, not to mention Edge and Christian had that show on the network too, where they ended up making fun of kind of the old stuff that they used to do. And it was still funny.
Yeah.
Like you said, their humor was probably long before their time, or they were long, whatever. They were funny, and it's still
They were ahead of their time. They
they
were
were
ahead.
ahead of their time.
Yes.
Yes. Anyways, next up we have
It's past our
the
bedtimes.
Young Bucks versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. Wrestling ability. This is hard because all four of the guys are really, really good. Kyle O'Reilly coming out on his own over the last half year against Finn Balor, doing it again tonight. I think it's Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. Man, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish gonna be my pick, if not for the music alone of the Undisputed Era. Not to mention they brought back War Games. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish were involved, I think, in 2, maybe 3 War Games matches. And they're really, really good. It's one of my favorite gimmicks currently.
And Kyle O'Reilly has an amazing air guitar that he plays on the belt.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Kyle O'Reilly is one of those underrated, like, funny guys. Like, he always does something like a face, or he says something that's just like, he's only got to say a couple things. And like, that dude's funny. Man, this is a tough one. But
This is a tough one.
yeah, you got any thoughts? You already put it on my face, so maybe I don't have to finish now.
I could argue either team here.
I heard it too.
We're PG. We're PG. There's jokes we agreed to avoid tonight. We're PG.
RJ's corpse and sending the mail.
I could argue either one. They're both very entertaining to watch.
I'm crying.
We need to take a break.
We're live. I don't think we can. All right, sorry.
Where you going with? Where you going with?
I don't even know though. Without you picking, what are your thoughts on both?
Without me picking?
Yeah, without you picking one, what are your thoughts on both? Because they might be the same.
I feel like they're very parallel with each other as far as success goes. They had the success in Ring of Honor. They had the success in New Japan. They had the success in their own promotions, NXT and AEW. Again, top tag teams in each spot. God, the 2 different styles. The Young Bucks do well against other flippy kind of tag teams.
Yeah, their better matches are against high energy, high flyers.
Yeah, where they can just pull off just stunts you've never seen before. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly kind of can go against anybody.
Yeah,
like they've gone against the bigger opponents. They've gone against the smaller. They work in that submission game as well. The kicks, the strikes.
Yeah, I feel like the Young Bucks have to rely, and this kind of goes back to what RJ was saying before. They have to rely on spots, even though the spots are good, and like you said, they kind of work them in different every time. I feel like Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish just kind of go with the flow, so to say. They can kind of adapt themselves to whatever situation they're in.
If I'm gonna say a negative about the Young Bucks too, they don't follow tag rules. They're constantly both in the ring and switching spots because they forget, because they don't tag.
We're not supposed to pay attention to that stuff.
I was gonna say, does anybody really follow the rules anymore?
Yeah, but Young Bucks have been known to be called out for it as well, though. However, they did create their own wrestling organization.
I mean, if we're talking about biggest impact on wrestling industry, I'd go with the Young Bucks. But if I'm talking about best tag team, I'm gonna go with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. How much fish could a Bobby Fish fish if a Bobby Fish could fish? Is that how? I can say Matt Riddle. The time he said that, I spit out my water. It was fantastic.
He's the most infamous fisherman.
Yes. Do you know that one of his names originally was Jerk Jackson?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he was huge, like this big muscle bound kind of. Maybe not, he was jacked. Yeah, remember seeing him at, like, little spot shows in Ring of Honor. Like, he was trying to get his spot on there. Like, Jerk Jackson. I was like, I like this guy. All right. And then he became Bobby Fish. I was like, this is the same guy.
All right, next up we have Sasha Banks and Bayley versus The New Day.
I would also like to see this tag team match.
Yeah.
Like, WWE needs to start doing intergender matches.
I feel like they bring the same energy.
The New Day versus Sasha Banks and Bayley. I mean, New Day, I feel like their energy is above almost everyone else. They are, I don't know. Overall, I feel like they're so entertaining outside of the ring. I mean, they're the only guys that can wear a unicorn horn on their head, and it be okay. They literally sold that to children across the world. I love their podcast. I love their up, down, down channel on YouTube. They do so much across the board. All three of them. I mean, Kofi Kingston, Kofi Mania. Seeing the New Day kind of back him up and kind of do his thing, and now Big E trying to do his thing, while Kofi and Woods are doing the tag team. I think it's going to be the New Day here, even though I love Sasha Banks and Bayley.
I feel kind of like, because we talked about top factions before, and we had New Day in there.
That's true.
But any combination of the New Day has been successful as a tag team, and they're still in unison. Like, doesn't matter which two you put in the ring together, they're a tag team. No, grouping of the two are better than the other. Like, that's just, they just are such a cohesive unit. I think what's holding the Sasha Banks Bayley combination for me is that even through their run there was always that tension of, like, when are they going to break up, because it's been such a, the back and forth.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes it away a little bit from me. So I'm going with the New Day.
Yeah, I would have chosen the New Day as well.
All right, New Day moves on. Last one in the top 8. We have a match that we've seen 100 times: the Hardy Boys versus the Dudley Boys.
So if we weren't doing a randomized bracket, I feel like these two would have been in the finals.
Yeah.
That's true. For me, I was always a Hardy Boy fan over the Dudleys. Hardy's wrestling is just more my style. Not to mention Jeff's Swanton Bomb was one of probably the better moves of that time. However, the 3D is also an awesome move too. So, but overall, Hardy Boys were probably more entertaining to me. I remember when my brother always trying to find, like, the stockings to put on his arm, like the Hardy Boys, and doing the dance. And
I was going to say, then he found out about the Hardy Boys.
And when we started doing backyard wrestling, my brother was obsessed with Jeff Hardy, and I mean, so was I, but I just remember him wearing the socks on his arm and stuff and coming out. But Jeff Hardy was probably the only dude who could pull that off and still be cool. But
yeah, with their fishnet shirts.
Yeah. Then he went on to have a really good singles run too, and then Matt Hardy did too, and then Matt Hardy doing the delete stuff, amazing, and then them coming together in the Hardy compound stuff. They could get together tomorrow, and it would be a must watch for sure.
Yeah, this is a really tough decision. They were both such huge tag teams. Get the tables. Like, everybody knows Get the Tables. But
what's up?
Yeah.
Every time the 3D, the whole crowd. 3D.
Yeah, everybody went nuts.
But it'd be a backdrop.
And that was a thing they did as a tag team where even though Matt and Jeff were a tag team and they had great chemistry, they were always kind of doing their own thing separately at the same time. And it was still awesome. They kind of ushered in almost a new era into the business. I mean, you didn't see guys taking risks like the Hardys, in not on that level, maybe in smaller businesses, on the indie scene, you'd see guys doing crazy stuff like that, but not until the Hardys showed up did you see guys jumping off the Titantron. Like, who the hell was doing that? They constantly were finding ways to really one up the biggest thing, but they were the biggest thing. They were one upping themselves. The Dudleys, they had their thing, and that thing kind of went away, and then they had to do, Brother Devon, Brother Dud, so then they had that whole thing, and they kind of petered out, where now you still see the Hardys still doing big things. Obviously not as much as they used to, but I feel like the Hardys are much more revered and remembered more fondly than the Dudleys, in my opinion, anyways. I'm sure there's some diehard Dudley fans out there, and I'm sorry if I've offended you in any way. I would have to go with the Hardys in this instance.
Well, my vote doesn't count, but going into this, I was in my head saying the Dudley Boys are going to win this entire thing. Anytime someone says who's the greatest tag team of all time, I would put the Dudley Boys probably over the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom.
They're up there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in ECW, heels, like top tier heels, starting riots kind of a thing, like Bubba on the mic just yelling at the crowd to come in and fight them. And they were just top of the game. And then coming into WWE, like, all right, a lot of these guys that are coming in from ECW, like, how's Vince gonna put them out there? He can completely bury them if he wanted to, but they didn't. They succeeded. They went into this whole series with Edge and Christian, with the Hardy Boys, the 3D'ing, one of the best finishing moves of all time from a tag team, power bombing everybody and anybody off the top rope through the table, the whole get the tables thing, the whole what's up. But you guys you changed my mind by the things that you were saying about the Hardy Boys. Pioneers, they innovated a completely different style. Sabu was doing some of those things, but you weren't seeing tag teams doing that type of stuff. And when you think about moments that you remember in history of wrestling, you think a lot more about the Hardy Boys and those moments that they had. Those death-defying, risk-taking maneuvers that they did. And yeah, RJ, they influenced like all of our friends. Like, everybody loved the Hardy Boys. I think at that time, because I'm one of those people where, like, if you love something so much, you talk about it so much, I distance myself away from it. I'm kind of like that rebel. But even like they made that comeback, like they did that little shot at Ring of Honor, and everybody's like, are they going to WWE? Are they going to WWE? And then they wrestled, and everybody's like, oh, they're not going. And then they showed up. New Day announced them to come in. Do you remember that pop? Like, the crowd went berserk.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, so, and they would still get that pop, like, anywhere. Like, and I think there's always that buzz of, like, let's get them back together wherever it happens to be, and they'll still be successful. So it's very long-winded, but I'm going with the Hardys here because it's tough to vote out the Dudley Boys.
Yeah, it really is.
They're the most decorated tag teams. Like, everywhere that they've gone, they've held tag team gold.
I mean, everybody that's made it this far is probably one of the best tag teams of all time in our top four here. And who knew the Hardy Boys would step up to the challenge and defeat Enzo Amore and Big Cass at WrestleMania 33. But they did it. But you're right, and I think
bada boom, they were the realest guys in the room.
I think our interview with Antonio Atama, he was there at WrestleMania 33 along with our friend Nate. I think that was the pay-per-view they went to.
I'm sure Nate was going absolutely crazy because
he was probably wearing his fishnet shirt.
Yeah, I mean, he was the biggest Lita fan, and then his best friend Johnny, he was doing the swantons and everything.
Oh yeah, yep. Good stuff. Well, hey, we're at our top 4 now. We're about to choose, and it's going to be out of these 4. We've got Edge and Christian, The New Day, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, and the Hardy Boys. Any thoughts, guys, before we head into the top 4? I have to say it's a bit surprising to see Riley and Fish's name next to the Hardys, The New Day, and Edge and Christian. Deservedly so to be there, but it's still a little weird.
Yeah, we got kind of like 2 current versus 2 legends. I kind of pictured the final 4 a little bit differently, but I'm not mad at it.
All right. Yeah. Well, hey, let's start it off. We've got Edge and Christian versus Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish.
Can you compete with Edge and Christian here?
Yeah, I think O'Reilly and Bobby Fish ended up here just as a product of the randomized seed and just who they got put up against. Not to knock them, not to downplay their skill set or anything, but you can't compete against Edge and Christian. It's a no-brainer on this one. They've left a legacy. They were just part of that. They're part of the same era as the Hardys, and you can't have one without the other, like you were saying, RJ. They've created or possibly even revitalized, the wrestling scene for a lot of people.
Yeah, I was never like, I got to go out of my way to see this Edge and Christian match. I was same thing for the Hardy Boys and the Dudleys, but I was there. I still put it on. Like something in the back of my mind was like, keep watching. And it was always good. And again, you think about moments in wrestling, Edge and Christian were there, a part of it all. Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, I think if they were to be put into the main roster in WWE, would be highly successful as well. I'd love to see them mix it up with some of those the current tag teams that are up there now. But yeah, just it's Edge and Christian. What other explanation do you need?
All right, well,
stop putting it just on.
I want to say, I want to say Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, just because, again, if I'm watching a card, the wrestling to me is going to be better with the Undisputed Era, but Edge and Christian were really, really good. The impact they've had on the business. So I'm going to go with Edge and Christian as well. And that's it. Yeah. We're moving on. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, we have The New Day versus the Hardy Boys. Is that a match we've ever seen? Did we see them fight?
I think so. I think when I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Could be mistaken. It could be McChicken. I don't know.
So,
McRibbon.
This is hard because Edge and the Hardy Boys and the New Day have had a very equal impact on the industry in different time frames. The New Day for the past 6-7 years has been the tag team, has been the talk. Hardy Boys from like 99, 98 till only about 2002 or 3. And then obviously there are many returns after that. But the New Day, man, overall, like you said, all 3 of those guys, you could insert any one of them into the match and it's going to be the same caliber, the same quality. If anything, if I were to vote, I think Woods is really underrated. I think Woods is probably one of my more favorite wrestlers. And he probably isn't in the ring as much as the other 2 have been. But my vote is going to be the New Day. Unpopular opinion against the Hardy Boys.
Well, I feel like I talked a mouthful about the Hardy Boys. And that's the reason why I'm picking them here. Again, that influence, maybe in 20 years we'll have to do this again and talk about the influence that the New Day had on the new crop of wrestlers. I think from outside, like if you were to look at it and go, who's had a bigger impact outside of wrestling, you'd probably say the New Day. Like they're probably more well known just because of all their side ventures and everything that they do. But again, I'm thinking about moments for me and the Hardy Boys.
All right, Mike, it's on you.
Yeah. Yeah, piggybacking off of what Andy said, there's not really a particular moment that sticks out in my mind when it comes to the New Day. When you think of the New Day, you think of fun. They're big personalities. They really bring up the energy of the room whenever they get into the room. You hear the music. That when they come out, something crazy, something funny is going to happen. But when it comes to the Hardys, when the Hardys show up, you're going to watch a good match. Even their worst match is an average match. Their worst match is probably the best match for somebody else. Just their consistency, their caliber of skill, and not just the high flying stuff. Their ability to sort of adapt to certain situations, whether it's just a standard match, whether it's a TLC, whether it's a hardcore. They are able to make whatever match they're in exciting. There's no reason for them to be paired up with someone who is a equal caliber. They're able to make lesser wrestlers look better than they really are. And it's always, again, it's you can't say enough about the effect that the Hardy Boys have had on wrestling. So the Hardys, it is.
All right.
I'm gonna be wearing my fishnet shirt tomorrow.
Well, here we are, guys. We are in the top two, the finals of the greatest tag teams 2000 to present. We have this is 1999 all over.
Yeah.
Let me get my Limp Bizkit CD.
Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys. The match of matches.
Yeah. I think Mike said it, like, where would one be without the other?
Can we call this a tie? Can we end in a draw?
Yeah. Let's go.
Guys, can you help us out here? We need some people's comments. Is it the Hardy Boys? Is it Edge and Christian?
Comments.
We need some help here. Here's what I got to say. And
let's discuss.
Edge and Christian are the better talkers. More entertaining from a vocal perspective, from a comedy perspective. Hardy Boys really had no personality outside of the ring. They didn't do much talking between each other. Now, granted, have they become something? Yeah. I mean, Matt Hardy specifically, who I never thought would be the breakout of the two of them. But Matt Hardy has reigned the last 10 years. Jeff Hardy had that stint in the late 2000s, I think, where he was fighting The Undertaker for the championship and getting the one up from him, but he still didn't talk much. He's not a great talker. Matt Hardy was always the talker. But Edge and Christian are way better as far as talking goes. Hardy Boys might be better wrestlers, in my opinion. But there really needs to be a package. You could be the best wrestler in the world, but if you can't talk, I don't generally like you much. I think back of the days of like Chris Benoit, I hate to bring his name up, but he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, but that dude couldn't talk at all. And that's why the WWE never really pushed him as much as they could. I mean, I know they made him world title for a while, but I know the big argument was that he didn't talk well. And Jeff Hardy is very similar for me in that area. I still don't have an answer for you though.
Those are all good points. Edge and Christian definitely had that comedy factor. Sarah saying the Hardy Boys. Jeff Hardy's still in some good matches now. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to stick to just them as a tag team because all four have had very successful singles careers as well. But I'm trying to factor those out of my decision making. I'm thinking about them as a tag team. Who was it that I was watching?
If we were going off solo careers, I think it would hands down be Edge and Christian. As big as Matt Hardy's solo career was, it wasn't nearly as big as Edge was.
World champions, both Edge and Christian.
Yeah,
and Jeff.
Yeah, he was.
But you don't remember Jeff as a singles champion though.
No, not too much. But you got to give it to Matt for all of the compound stuff, for all the delete stuff, for the AEW stuff.
But I'm I'm trying to keep that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
that's what's making it hard, because that's always going to be in the back of your mind, because it's hard to differentiate that. That's the character, and that character was still that character in the tag team to an extent. So it's kind of hard to separate that.
Think about the pop that the Hardys got when they came in 17. Edge and Christian aren't getting that pop.
I don't know. Edge did when he came back solo. Like, I think, and people are still like right now, like, we want Christian back. We want, what if he gets the same kind of treatment like Edge does? Like, does he want to come back? Could he come back as well? I think there's still that interest there. And if he ever does, I think they would at one point put them back together. And I think that would be a moment. This is tough. I'm thinking about, like, how did I feel in the early 2000s when I was watching both of these tag teams? Like, Edge and Christian, like, I love those backstage moments. They had those really funny things that they did with Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle. I keep thinking about the chicken soup, but the 5-second pose, I believe there was a bucket of a cream for a certain body part that was also involved in backstage segments. That was really funny. Oh man, but I kind of felt like I wasn't sticking around for the match, and if I did, I really didn't remember much unless it was in those specialty kind of matches against the Hardy Boys. Whereas I kind of stuck around to watch those Hardy Boy matches, and they had Lita in there too. That made it interesting as well. She was kind of that, like, if we're talking about the Hardys, we haven't mentioned Lita, but she was as much of the Hardy Boys group, than the both of them were. And then they had the whole thing that happened between Matt and Edge and Lita, and that, again, singles career, keeping that out. It's a lot to think about, for sure. I wasn't like I said, I wasn't an overly huge fan at the time of both groups, but like vocally, but I loved what I was seeing out of both teams.
I have an answer. I'm going to go with the Hardys. And the reason I'm going to go with the Hardys is because post WWE, these guys still went around. They were in TNA. They were in the Ring of Honor. They were winning championship after championship. And then they tricked everybody and ended up making it back to WrestleMania anyway for the comeback of the year in 2017. But they're the World Tag Champs in Ring of Honor. They were 2-time World Tag Champs in TNA. And then they won the WCW Tag Champs when it was part of WWE. They were the Raw Tag Champs, the SmackDown Tag Champs, the World Tag Champs 6 times. So I'm going to go with the Hardy Boys.
Yeah, I think it's still hard to say. As much as you can't have a Hardy Boys without Edge and Christian, because both teams are so much a part of each other's history and success as tag teams. They're almost a yin and yang. But I also don't think Edge and Christian early on would have become as large as big as they did without having the Hardy Boys. And I don't think I can say the opposite. I think the Hardys would have gotten to a higher echelon, maybe not to the point where they are now, because those matches between the two tag teams were so classic. But I still feel like the Hardy Boys would have made it. And again, they're proving it, like you said, RJ. They're still winning titles. They're still wrestling on other circuits. They still made it back to WWE, and that says a lot. They did step out of the limelight for quite a few years. I mean, it's not like they were gone for a month and then came back. I mean, it was years before they really came back. It's hard to not pick the Hardy Boys. It's hard also to knock Edge and Christian out of this, but at the same time, I don't know. The Hardy Boys is what you think about when you think about that era and those years of wrestling when it comes to tag teams.
Yeah, not like are you going with the Hardys?
I'm going with the Hardys. Yeah. I had a feeling you were kind of going that way, anyways. When you said earlier on.
Yeah, they're gonna be my pick too. Like to Artie's point, they didn't have to talk. They really didn't. Like they had the fans behind them because of what they did in the ring. The girls adored them. The guys loved them. Like they had something for everybody. They didn't have to pick up the microphone. They just go out there and do what you do in the ring, and drew that interest. So, and the innovators, everybody tried to be them.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
We have the greatest tag team, 2000 to present, is the Hardy Boys. I don't think anyone's going to argue that they deserve to be in the top, along with Edge and
Matt
Christian.
Hardy in this.
Yeah.
Along with Edge and
Glorious.
Christian and the Dudley Boys and the New Day. I think that was a really tough last couple of ones there, but the Hardy Boys are our tag team champions of all time, 2000s to present.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, they'll be on the show next week.
Thank you for allowing us to have this discussion, Jeff and Matt.
Yeah.
Without you, there would be no You Dad Me at Hello episode 14.
At least not an ending, anyways.
Then the Dudley Boys would have won for sure.
True.
They weren't even in the top 4.
Well, there would have been no Hardys there, so the Dudley Boys would have moved on. And
That's true.
The Dudleys versus Edge and Christian.
And then I would have picked the Dudleys.
As we always do.
I feel like Edge and Christian gets the short end of those three. Like,
as we always do, you guys and also you at home, any tag teams that we left off or any honorable mentions or just tag teams that shouldn't be a tag team?
I mean, La Resistance should have been in there for sure. Honestly, I mean, were they putting on the greatest matches of all time? No, but they held those belts constantly, and they were the top heel tag team for a while there in the early 2000s. Wasn't a great era of tag team wrestling for sure, but they could have.
I know we argued a little bit about whether or not to include Iconics. The Iconics was a team that could have been here. Chronic from WCW.
Chronic from WCW. Let me tell you, loved them in WCW at the end of their run. They destroyed everybody. Then they went to WWE, and I told my stepfather, I was like, these guys rule. Watch, like they're gonna run through everybody. And we watched the first match, and he goes, "You like these guys?" I was like, "I don't know what happened." I was seriously in disbelief, and they bombed. I was so mad.
All right. Well, hey, how about you, Mike? Anybody that didn't get added on, or?
I argued that Legion of Doom 2000 should have been in here.
John Heinrich.
Was that was Sonny a part of that too?
Yeah, Sonny was a part of that shortly. And
I thought you were talking about when it was Animal and John Heinrich.
No,
remember that? That was
briefly
not good.
That was what, like 3 matches? The 2 matches they did.
The Kabuki Warriors, yes, sir. We had them initially on the list, so they were honorable mentions of the top 32.
Yeah. I feel like we should do 90s. We should do 90s tag teams.
I think there's enough to do.
All right, let's do it right now.
All right, here we go.
All right. The natural disasters.
Ooh.
The winners.
Owen and Yokozuna.
No, Owen and Coco Beware.
Owen and the Bulldog were an amazing team. There's probably a lot, so we'll look forward to that. Maybe in season 1, if not season 2 of the show.
Have seasons.
Yeah, it's a normal podcast. If you want to keep going, Andy might be quitting currently.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Mike will take a spot.
I'm the new permanent co-host now.
This is all a ploy to get me out.
All right, so it is now. You know what's cool is we can still keep the 2 dads, 1 podcast. For people listening at home and not watching, I have removed Andy from the stream. But anyways, hey, thank you guys for joining us. Again, reach out to us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, anywhere pretty much. And feel free to follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. But we thank you guys for joining us, and have a good day, night, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Huh? What? Bye.
And here we go.